Okay, so moving on to something a little more light-hearted, I guess. Even though, as I said earlier, in the if you have seen the video of the previous segment, it's still somewhat tragic. Uh, um, yeah, but I think this particular issue is of great importance, especially if we consider the current contexts of rapidly advancing technologies and increasing social isolation among the people, not just in Singapore, of course, but worldwide. And that's this. Okay, no, this is not a prank or whatever. So this article came out on CNA. All right, I think earlier today, or oh no, sorry, it came out yesterday. So as of filming this video is the 15th of February. It came out yesterday during was it Valentine's Day on the 14th? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, clearly you can tell I don't really celebrate that. um yeah, so it says here younger singles increasingly approaching dating agencies for matchmaking services. Yeah, I'm not going to break down the article because I mean at the end of the day it's really a sort of way to market all these dating agencies, all right, all these matchmaking companies that are based locally in Singapore. But instead, I what I want to touch on really is a wider issue. So that means whatever that this particular article is talking about here is going to serve as a gateway to a larger problem, and that is the issue of social isolation. Now, the to set some context first, okay, the prevailing, I guess, wisdom of young people going out and date, right, is really if you want to successfully find a partner, you need to work on yourself, work on your personality, widen your social circles, right? Go out and meet people, join interest groups, so on and so forth. Okay, and that's how you meet more people, right? But of course, in the mid 20 teens, okay, or even earlier than that, that's when obviously the advent of the smartphone came up and technology really rapidly began to develop. So that's where we got all the various apps, like your social media apps, your gaming apps, Flappy Bird, if you still remember that, and all the various stuff, right? And of course, among all these apps came your dating apps. Like the only one that I really know is Tinder. I think Coffee Meets Bagel as well. I'm not sure about the rest, but yeah. And more and more people start, trying out online dating instead of, the traditional way, as of like how the previous generations would go out and meet people and form relationships in this way. And again, this is not so much me explaining the impacts of dating apps. All right, there are plenty of other videos, very very great videos on YouTube that explain that and all the issues surrounding it. If you're interested, go and look them up. But it's really more on, we are really looking more towards the impacts of technology as a whole. So see, here's the thing, all right. Why is it then that young people, okay, turning more and more towards all these dating agencies, matchmaking, and all this stuff, all right? So to understand that, I guess we can ask ourselves a few questions. Now, of course, if we look at this article, they would come up and say a few things, right? Oh, yeah, shift in clientele, young singles are looking for someone serious to get to know better and see if they are suitable to settle. Right, seasonal peak period, trying to find a partner during the Valentine's Day period, or finding a partner over the holidays. All right, and then they want to work with someone who's going to professionally curate and arrange dates with them, and then security of seeing someone who has already been screened, blah 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 blah. Yeah, all these are the reasons that this article points out, and that's why I say it's really a sort of like, I guess, a way of guerrilla marketing your dating services. All right, what are the two companies? What lunch actually? Huh? Okay. Okay, that's a weird name. And what's another one? I remember seeing another one. Guy. Oh, that's so. Yeah, no comment. Yeah, so as I was saying, those are the reasons that all these dating agencies would give clearly, but the real reason at the end of the day is, simply put, okay, why are young people turning more to dating agencies? Number one, all right, time. Okay, so what has time got to do with it? Essentially, young people more and more, as if you have seen my video on my responses to the article on the tuition industry as a whole, young people nowadays are expected to become multifaceted. That means they must know how to do everything. Yeah, so and they are also pressured in a way to go and take on additional enrichment things, right? Go and, obviously do well in your studies and take on more and more skills, so on and so forth. So the element of time would hold them back, perhaps, from really go and, searching out certain partners, and so on and so forth, right? Unless, of course, many young people or many couples, typically how they would end up meeting their significant other is through their schooling days, because of just a question of proximity. All right, so that's number one, but we are not really going to focus on that all too much. The second reason really is this: social isolation. So what am I talking about here, right? To understand this, okay, we need to understand the wider societal context, and that is the rapid advancement of technology. So we have really talked briefly, I guess, about some of Singapore's fundamental characteristics in one of our Telegram exclusive videos. If you haven't seen that, do subscribe to our Telegram channel, give it a watch. Obviously, Singapore is a technologically advanced nation, and what that means is that when it comes to all these social media stuff or whatever, access to online apps and what have yous, right? It is very easy for us, so easy access to the internet. But what that also means is that we end up spending more of our time. People spend more of their time online, right? And it can be done in various ways, be it through watching social media content, or at its worst, scrolling through all the shorts, right? Or doom scrolling, or just playing games, right, online. But what happens then after that? The immediate impact obviously is isolation from others. Okay, isolation from others. So when you are isolated, and obviously I'm not a psychologist, psychologists can explain this much better than me. In fact, I would recommend checking out what's that channel's name, Dr. K from Healthy Gamer GG. All right, he explains this very well, but the gist of it is that if, let's say, kids, right, end up spending much more of their time online, okay, and we are talking, and by kids I'm talking about adolescents, because nowadays many kids are already, you know, absorbed by the screens, you know, ever since they are toddlers. They prefer to spend time online, they get isolated from others, then they lose their social skills, they lose the ability to socialize with other people, right? That, and not only that, as a result they also experience a lot of anxiety. Okay, so because of this, that's why, you know, then all these young people, as they grow into adulthood, as they reach 21 years old, they have been socially isolated from many others, right? Perhaps not connecting all too well with members of the opposite gender, or whatever gender, whichever way you swing, right? And consequently, they end up being alone, right? Not necessarily that they would have no friends. Okay, they probably will. I mean, unless the social anxiety is that bad, but they'll end up alone, and then afterwards, because they are not really used to going up to somebody in public and speaking to them, striking up a simple conversation, right? That's why they would turn more to dating agencies. Okay, so in short, what we are looking at here really is the impact of technology. But at its worst, okay, the reason why at the end of the day I am covering this seemingly, you know, a very vapid sort of topic, really the real reason is for this. So I'm pretty sure, you know, if you have been scrolling through social media, you would have gotten apps for all these very weird ass AI bot shit, right? Whereby they tout themselves as an app where you can speak with an AI and essentially have your own virtual boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, you know. So over here, right, it says here that this guy started seeing someone and he became infatuated, and, you know, he experienced a ton of romantic feelings, but he also knew it was an illusion. And the issue is that his girlfriend was generated by AI. Now this is particularly scary, obviously, because we are at the cusp of our technological advancement, whereby so many of these fundamental human experiences, right? So basic human connections are being replaced by technology as well. Okay, and this is happening across the board to everybody. Even I myself also experienced this. Okay, whereby, you know, if let's say I'm communicating with clients, you know, unless it's a very urgent thing, personally, you know, obviously I'm trying to work on this as much as possible, but personally I would prefer texts instead of calling on the phone like what we used to do in the past. You know, the way that we communicate with other people also is primarily through devices and technology, right? So technological advancements, seemingly replacing, you know, basic or fundamental human connections. We are at that point where this can potentially happen already, right? And that's why I began this particular segment by talking about the young people turning to dating agencies thing, because it actually hints at a larger problem, which obviously the article didn't touch on, and that is this, right? So what we are looking at here, you know, if let's say things like that really occur, so what then is the potential impact for human beings? Because what we are looking at here really is a real life kind of situation. If you haven't seen that film, Is it Her? Is it called Her? Yeah. This film came out 10 years ago. 11 years ago, mind you. A guy falling in love with the AI on his phone, right? I mean, granted, the AI was voiced by ScarJo. Who the hell doesn't love ScarJo? But still, you know? So, he also talks about how traditional dating is tough for him. Okay, and that's why all these, exchanges that he had with the AI became so meaningful for him. And that in turn, right, further points out that, the way humans interact have essentially deteriorated already, because like I said earlier, due to all this time that we spend online, right, we lose our social skills. And again, I myself, I've also lost a lot of that, because I'm a millennial. I essentially grew up in this way, and because of that, I have a lot of work to do to catch up on that front at the moment, in terms of how I can communicate with others. And if you have been watching these videos, you can clearly tell the way I communicate is quite tentative also, because this is how I really talk to people in real life, so since this has deteriorated, then human beings will lose their sort of let me rephrase that, not be able to satisfy their emotional needs. So in desperation, what occurs then is that, humans will turn to other ways to meet other people. And then you have the case of young people in Singapore turning more to dating agencies. Now, to be clear, it's not as though that is necessarily a bad thing, because, I mean, if you go and look at the history of marriage as a whole, right, the way that people have traditionally met in the past is really through arranged marriages. And because... Right, hello, we're back. I mean, clearly, as you heard in the video, as I was recording this halfway, a lion dance performance occurred outside. Very interesting. First time I've seen a lion dance occur indoors in the mall. Yeah, so for anybody who's viewing this, you don't know what a lion dance is, go and check it out. There's a lot of pretty cool, mythology and lore behind that. So, yeah. Right, okay, so as I was saying, people met in the past, or rather marriages in the past were mostly done by arranged marriages. Typically what they are meant to do really is to either foster certain relationships between certain clans, or just out of family tradition, or just the general culture of that particular community as a whole, right? So to be clear, the usage of all these matchmaking agencies, like I said, not necessarily a bad thing, right? It just so happens that the notion of meeting people for love, all right, so a romantic sort of relationship, being while using all these more traditional methods of meeting people, yeah, is something that's been done before, and certainly can be adapted into modern day. But it's the bigger concern at the end of the day really is that if human beings are losing that all these fundamental social skills, and resorting to all these dating agencies, which despite all their touting, is something that's not necessarily guaranteed. Because I mean, like, how the hell are you gonna control human emotions or control the feelings of love as a whole? So yeah, it's like I said at the beginning of this segment, it's still somewhat tragic, because just human beings losing that fundamental connection and and that sort of human touch in the formation of all these relationships, and to the point whereby they are turning to all these technological apps, right? To all these apps to help them form these relationships in the first place. And yeah, so how you gonna use this example in your essays? Again, actually it's all laid out here already, right? So why are young people turning to more dating agencies? You can take on the perspective of economic needs, if we are talking about Singapore as a whole. Or the bigger concern really is the impacts of rapidly advancing technology, which is causing all these cases of social isolation. So yeah, I guess that's that for this segment and this episode of the Discourse Education podcast. So I hope this coverage again is once again useful, right, for your academic journey. Or if you're an international viewer, welcome, right? Look forward to any sort of discussions, right, that we may potentially have if you submit a question using the link below, as you can see on screen. So any point of time, right, if you have a question whereby you would like to begin a discussion or whatever, submit a question there. Or if you have any questions on H2 history, general paper, or O levels English, please feel free to submit a question there as well. And of course, if for Singaporean students, if you need more help, be it in general paper or H2 history, right, or O levels English, we offer weekly tuition, right, at affordable rates, group setting, because that's how we like to do it. Because in my opinion rather, group tuition is the best for learning, because you have a small comfortable setting, you get to meet new friends, and then you all learn together and then grow together as not just students but individuals as well. And if you'd like more information on our tuition services, please access the link there, alright, the discourseeducation.com.sg, and you can get all the details that you need. And of course, if you want further information, you can always contact us directly using all the contact details on the website itself. And yeah, so that's it for this week's podcast. Hope this was useful, and all the best with your studies, and I'll see you guys next time.